The one thing that was sort of fun and kind of cool and a bit of a badge of honor, it was the first show that they ever had that had all the possible warnings that you could put on a TV show. And it was an animated show, right? And I forget what they were, like drug, sex, violence, language, and something. I think there was 5. Basically, it was like this whole laundry list that came up.
I'm Mike Avila with SYFY Wire, and today I am sitting down with the one and only Todd McFarlane. Thanks for letting us come to your studio.
Sure, I appreciate you giving me the time today.
All these Spawn stories, the character developments, the crazy turns and whatnot. Anything in particular that stands out? Do you ever give yourself a chance to look back and say, wow, certain beats really resonated with me the most in the Spawn timeline? Are there any particular ones?
For me, I mean, you know, I was sort of an odd kid, so let's just sort of frame that, right? When everybody was running to Star Wars, I was going into Gorky Park, right? I was always sort of less fascinated about fantasy as I was about reality. And so I've always liked the movies that have way more reality and then they layer in fantasy on top of it than the ones that begin with the concept of big fantasy and then they go, oh, you know what, maybe we need to add a little bit of reality.
Or any of Todd's top 5 Spawn issues from like the early days? Because boy, it was really dark those first few years.
One of them, issue number 5, was the introduction of not a supervillain or a guy with big ray guns. It was a pedophile, and again, because you know, at its core, let me just tell you, at its core, Spawn is essentially me with superpowers, right? I always tell people, you know, location, 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 good rule, and stick to what you know, and what I know is me. So I'm going, okay, I know what I would do if I had powers. And so when he goes after the kid killer, he, in that issue, basically the statement is he's not going to be Superman or Batman or Spider-Man. Remember, we were a new company. And so I had to make a statement that just says, if the system cannot control and stop the pedophile from abusing and killing and raping children, then Spawn will. Because as a parent, I would. I'd give the authorities 3 or 4 cracks at it. And if they failed after 4 times, I bet me and a couple other dads would just somehow figure it out on our own.
The last page, that issue, it's true, that issue has stuck with me for years because the last page splash, it has that image, you know, the pedophile,
right,
dead with the popsicle sticks.
Right. He returned the pain in equal.
What I always liked about the Hellspawn spinoffs is that there's some great talent that also worked in those books.
Yeah.
Niles, you had Bendis. Right. How did that help?
Ashley Wood.
Yeah,
on the art side.
Found some great talent to work on those. How did that help develop that and provide a different window into the Spawn universe?
From my perspective, I think that the art, the stories have to look and feel like the subject matter. So if you're going to go mature and you're going to get sort of sophisticated with the storytelling, I think that visually it has to feel the same. Because if it looks like a standard superhero comic book that you and I read when we were 13, I don't think you go for the ride quite as much. But if it just feels more arty, for lack of a better word, when you're looking at it and it seems evocative and interesting when you're looking at it, sort of like interesting art at a gallery, that you go, wow, okay, they're not trying to hit a 12-year-old kid right now, right? They're trying to do something else here. And so I think it plays into the whole being better than the parts. Every character I've created, I have the hope, and I don't control the world, name's Todd, only rhymes with God, that I have the hope that they will outlast me, right? It's what happened with Walt Disney. There's still a Mickey Mouse, there's no Walt anymore, right? So that's it, that's the goal, is can Spawn and some of the characters and some of the ideas I put down, can they still be on this planet when I am not? And if the answer is yes, even for one day past my funeral, it's a victory, because I just go, they've outlived me. And what if they outlive me by decades and eons maybe? Who knows?